Hey everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be unboxing this half pound of world coins, and it looks like a treasury token, but anyways, there's lots of cool stuff that has been coming out of these recently, so much silver, older coins, new designs from really esoteric places, so really excited to see what we get today. Going to pour these out and look at each one, and then edit back any information that would answer a question that I asked for, more relevant world history, but now we've got a message from our sponsors, then we'll start the grab bag. Before we get into this grab bag, I want to thank MA Shops for sponsoring this video. Their online marketplace, mashops.com, has a great selection of ancient US and world coins, paper money, stamps, and more. They've got a really good reputation, easy to use site, and they work with trusted dealers, so it would be a mistake to not head on over there and be aware of this awesome source for coins. Hopefully you can find something for your collection there, and with that being said, thanks to them again for sponsoring it, and let's get into the grab bag. And right off the bat, looks like a fair amount of British stuff, but the first coin I'm going to pick up here is 50 of something. From, it looks like either Iraq or Saudi Arabia. I believe that this will be Iraq, maybe a 50 fils, but I'm not completely sure. We'll edit back that information in, but a lot of different Arabic currencies, and I'm not that familiar with that alphabet, so it's always tough for me to figure it out. This one, yeah, looks Australia, 1952 at that point. They've got the kangaroo there on the penny, such an Australian design, but we've got King George VI in his last year. He passes away, and Queen Elizabeth II assumes the crown the following year, and is on the coinage starting 1953. Here's Edward VII, much earlier, and I should figure out that this is metal aligned, I believe, 1908. We see a Union Jack, the British flag, with Britannia in the back, so super cool. And then here we have 1942, we have I want to say the Golden Hind. Sir Francis Drake would have been sailing this thing around the world in the 1500s, doing some exploration. Unfortunately, this specific coin has corroded, but still a really cool design. I always like, some people collect the ships on the coins, so those are all ones we've seen before, as is this one, the 1 franc from 1965 in France, reminiscent of the Walking Liberty design on the $50, and then the American Silver Eagle. This one looks pretty silver though. It's got the Helvetia, Switzerland on the front. And then on the back, it's 1 franc 1906. B, I believe, stands for burn. And this coinage, you could still spend it today, but since it's 83.5% silver, that wouldn't make a lot of sense, as 1 franc is pretty close to the dollar in terms of the currency exchange rate. 1906, though, of course, 15 at the time of this filming, years old, so definitely an older silver coin there. Really excited to kickstart that. Then this looks like 10 cents from East Africa, 1935, 10 cents, controlled by the British, so I believe this was sort of like Ethiopia, Eritrea type area, or yeah, I think that is sort of where this is referring to, but I'll have that edited back in for you. After that uncovers this British looking coin. Maybe it is, no, I think it's just a 1943 pence. I don't think that this design was in for super long, but you've got the KG, George Kruger Gray, the designer for this, and Humphrey Paget on the obverse. But King George VI back at it, 50% silver. In 1920, they converted from the 92.5% sterling over to the 50%. After that, we've got a 1 franc from Belgium. This is going to be from 1952, and these were pretty common. They ended up converting to euros at about 1 to 40 in 2001, so this would have been like 2.5 cents in modern euros, so really not a huge value premium there, and it's demonetized. 10 centimos here, going to be from Peru, 2018, so that's pretty recent. Snuck into this bag, shows that maybe some of these have been sitting around for a while, but this one does not seem to be the case. And sometimes I wonder if maybe on a really devalued currency, by the pound weight that you can sell these coins, if people try to buy a bunch of them and then sell them at whatever rate per pound, 5 or 6 per pound dollars, I don't know, just something to think about. 1 baht here from Thailand, that's got a very classic, I think that's Rama 9, the Thai king, but really sort of findable. It's often, though, one that people bring up as they're wondering what they've got because the lettering is so different from any system that we know, and it's not sort of Chinese or Japanese where it may, somebody types in that to look for it. But here, United Arab Emirates, probably 1 rial. And this feels like circulating currency. I don't know what the UAE to USD exchange rate is. I think Kuwait has or Bahrain, it's like one of their dollars or reals is like 3 or 4 of ours. And it's not necessarily how strong that currency is, but just sort of a mark of the exchange rate. This, though, is so old. 1864, looks like 50 centimes from the Empire Français. I have no idea where that is. Maybe it's in Paris, maybe it's something else. But it looks like Napoleon III, the emperor, I think he took power maybe in 1848 or 1852, or reinstates himself as emperor, and then reigns until France forms as a state, not ruled by any emperor. But this probably is 83.5% silver. Curious on what type of valuation it would have, but a really, really nice find. So I'm happy about that. Let's see, this one, and interesting to see also just in general the principles of inflation. This 50 centimes would have been spendable, but in 1960, they make 50 francs equal to 50 new centimes. So this would technically be worth 0.5 of a centime. So this, let me do some quick math. I think that it would take basically 1,000 of this coin to equal 1 of this in terms of spending power, even though this has more silver value because this is just like a copper-nickel blend. But so interesting to see how devaluation of currency exists in some, but not in others. Reminiscent, now I'm thinking back to the Swiss Rappen. A lot of people talk about Swiss bank accounts. Just the Swiss are always pretty sound with their financial system and don't let their currency get out of hand. So props to them. 1961 Netherlands Antilles. That golden, it's a 1 cent. The Netherlands Antilles golden, that's referring to St. Martin, I think Aruba maybe, and Curacao, which are in the Caribbean in North America. So not good to not confuse that. This is a mainland 1961 5-cent Netherlands coin that would have been converted into the euro as well. This would come with like uncirculated mint sets. So this has no value, never circulated, but somehow snuck in this lot. Right here, this looks like maybe it's World War, I was going to say 2, but 1924 is in the period after 10 centesimi, after the World War I, where Italy definitely was hurt quite a bit. Just well-worn currency. I always like something, it's about 100 years old, has seen a lot of different hands. 1955, Great Britain, 3 pence. The pence system, this would have been 1/80th of a pound. And I was talking to somebody the other day. They were saying, it kind of does make sense to go base 24 or 240 on your currency just because there's so many things that it's divisible by, though the base 100 seems to work pretty well too. 2009 10 won from South Korea, very little spending power right there. This, though, looks like 100 yen from Japan, and this actually is pretty near to $1 in terms of its spending value, still circulates, and I think that's something that I'll back up. A lot of people can confuse, there's a bunch of 500 won from South Korea. That's really not worth too much, whereas 500 yen from Japan, the coins might look similar, but that would be like $5 in spending value. So pretty cool, just want to point it out. Here it looks like 1 zhao from Taiwan, I believe. That's my best guess on that one. And then this looks like a design that I don't know. I was thinking it might be silver for a little bit, but as I look at it a little closer, I'm not so sure. It looks like, that's like an arm. That's the second arm. There's the legs. Maybe this is some sort of a Hindu or sort of Indian native coinage or Tibet or something like that. I've got no idea. That looks like magic. So this is some sort of a magic token. I don't think that this would have, and that says Misto. I don't know what this is. I'm going to do a little more research and try to figure it out. Sometimes there's some magic tokens that can be worth some decent money, but most of them are not worth too much. That'll be a fun little project for me to explore after this. Then we've got a 5 centimes, 1914 from Belgium, so right during World War I, a lot going on at that time. And then we've also got a French 1923 50 centimes from the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to search a little bit more into what the Chamber of Commerce was, why they redid their currency to reflect that everything was part of this Chamber of Commerce, or maybe there's very little significance, but want to explore that. 1985, Bahamas, 1 cent with the starfish, always a cool reminder of that. Countries can put what they want to show on their currency. 1993, Philippines, 1 peso. Or no, I think it's 2016. I think 1993 was when the Central Bank of the Philippines was formed. A lot of my viewers are from the Philippines. I think it's like the 4th or 5th most watched from country on this channel, which is interesting. Brazil here, 10 centavos, 1978. Brazil would have many currency revaluations at 1,000 to 1. I think maybe 2 after this point, but I'll edit that back in as well. Just, this is not spendable or worth so little that it wouldn't even be worth carrying around. 2 new pence here, 1971. Almost all of these coins are going to be 1971 because they're not necessarily, but that was a year that they converted from that, like you see right here, this 1 shilling. Let me think about it. So 1 shilling is like 1/20th of a pound, and then 2 new pence is like 1/50th of a pound. But this is in the base 100. This is in the base 240. So always like to clear that up. This looks like it's Irish. We got the harp on it in 1939. Not sure what the silver percentage is. I feel like it's a little something different, like 75%. But it's 2 shillings and 6 pence, 2s6d, or a crown right there. It's the Irish crown coin, and it's got that horse. I always really like the Irish currency. Their coins are pretty simple looking, but they look nice at the same time. It's tough to put a finger on exactly what I'm discussing, but really cool. And then we've also got this one, which is aluminum, but it's Réunion. So it's a French, I think, island, 1948. And I wonder when the Réunion franc ran from and how it compares to the mainland franc, the French franc, which went until 2001, at which point it was converted. I think it was like 6.55 francs to a euro. Here's another Chamber of Commerce, 1 franc denomination this time. And we've still got some cool looking coins left. This one caught my eye. Looks like it's Netherlands, 1943, 5 cents, I would think. But I'm not sure if this was being produced by the sort of the taken over Netherlands, or if the United States made this on their behalf, because I know that the States made a little bit of coinage featuring the Queen, who had fled the country so as not to sort of bow to the German rule. Just interesting. I'll look that up. 2 kroner, Denmark, right here, 1926. They always have that heart there, which is so cool. I don't know if that's like the king and the queen, but I think it's Christian. I don't probably think it's Christian the 10th who's the king featured there. But this has some nice eye appeal, even though it's pretty worn. I like that. And I don't know if it's like the king of Denmark is what I would assume that says, but so interesting. We don't really put as much emphasis on kings, but they're so prevalent on the coins. This looks like a Canadian large cent in 1917. I think they go until 1920 when they switch over to a smaller size on their cents. But the States did that switch in 1857, so a little bit of a different thing going on, but the United States large cents were way thicker and larger than the Canadian ones. So this one, similar size, but 1893, Tunisia, 5 centimes. I don't know where the A mint is. They've got the Arabic on the back here, but Tunisia, of course, was a French colony. The French colonized much of current North Africa, so that would have fit in here, and it was actually more of a center of commerce back then. A lot of the North African states were relatively wealthy and have been more played recently. 1994, Czech Republic, 50 haléru. I have not seen that design before, but I'm almost positive that that's what the H stands for. And we've got this 1. It says good for 1 fare, or T, Tacoma, Washington. How cool. I wonder, I would be curious to see the path that this coin took to end up in my hands. After that, we've got a Chinese 1993 1 Zhao coin. So aluminum again, and very little value in terms of spending, but still neat. 1967 France, 10 centimes. This one looks like it's got a design Ecuador. It says Luz de America. I don't know what that quite means, but 1 centavo, 2000. So Ecuador, I do know that they went from like 1917, it was something like, $1 would buy like 1.7 or 2.7. I forget if there's escudos or pesos or what it was, but that, or maybe Cologne, it ends up going to 1 to 25,000 by 2000. At that point, Ecuador institutes the dollar, and that can be rocky for countries because they're not able to inflate their currency. On the other hand, they're able to promise their constituents, like, here are dollars, they're not going to erode in value. So there's a lot of different things to take into consideration when a country switches over and dollarizes, but they've done that, and this is part of that. 2000 is when that occurs, but only a few more coins here. This one looks, again, Arabic. I want to say that this might be Egyptian, but I'm not totally sure. 1350, I always forget which is, if that's a 5 or a 6 or what that quite is, but in that sort of North African or Arabic geography. 1976, we've got Duarte here from, is that the Dominican Republic? Let's see. I think that this is the Dominican Republic. I'm curious. I don't know what he has done. Probably an important leader in their foundation of their state. So I will figure that out and report back to you. And then in closing here, we've got a Singapore 1987 20 cents coin. A decent exchange rate means that this has a little bit of spending power, but I don't see so much Singaporean currency where it's worth me picking that out and then, accumulating a bunch of them to sell online or something. 50 lire here from 1963 on this Italian coin. And then our last four, 1997 Costa Rica, 5 colones. 10 centimos here from the Philippines, 1967. A big shout out again to those Filipino viewers. Here's 5 centavos, might be Ecuador, and it is 1928. Is actually a little older, so I have not seen this design before. It was always some similar but different designs. So that one is interesting. I wonder if there's any value beyond what we normally see. And then wrapping it all up with a 1 centavo 1914 from Mexico, MO being the, I think it's the Casa de Moneda, the Mexican mint at Mexico City. So they have a really rich history of coins, a lot of 8 reals that we would have been transacting with, during a lot of the earlier parts of the United States, chopping them up, or just continuing to have them as large silver currency in a time when our coins were tough to come by often. But that brings us to the end of this. Thanks so much for watching. Leave any comments below, and I'm really excited to film the next hunt and see what we can get there. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated. I've also got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so you can follow me there. TreasureTownYT.com is the main channel website. Definitely give that a visit. I've got a lot of information about me up there and the channel. CoinGrabBag.com as well currently redirects there, but it's some good opportunities for very fair grab bags, both made by me and other sellers. A lot of different options, so that's a good way to support. There's also TreasureTownCoins.com. In the future, my coin dealing operation will be done out of that website. CoinMeltPrice.com for updates on the melt prices of your coins, both US and world. A lot of resources in that website. And then CoinsMetalsCards.com being developed right now as a marketplace and news source for coins, metals, cards, and collectibles in general. So I'll see you on my future videos. Looking forward to seeing you there, and hope you have a good day.